terrifying start to our conversation with Deuce and Mo podcast, who are returning. We just started off like, guys, we missed you. You went on vacation. You got back on Wednesday, full steam ahead with night chats and podcast. And I had referenced a tweet that I had seen, and I guess one of the puppies just dove out the window.
Yeah,
and,
second story. But hey, guess what? Totally fine.
He's alive.
Absolutely fine. No need to go to the vet.
Can I just say this? My dog, Bojack, the smart one, he didn't follow him out the window. The window was wide open. He could have gone out and been like, yeah, I'm going to follow you, bro. Didn't follow him. The smart dog.
Well,
congrats.
As we like to say, they didn't jump out the window with that one.
Man.
Well, I'm glad no animals were harmed during Deuce and Mo's vacation. We did post a question, though, over on the YouTube stream. Besides Davion Mitchell, who's the best defender in Sacramento? Morgan Reagan running away with this at 50%. Bojack and Carlin coming up with 30%. Well, Deuce is on the poll too, and he's at
and that's fine. I mean, I'm not surprised by people out there getting it wrong again. They got it wrong in 2016. They're getting it wrong now. The fact of the matter is this: Carlin and Bojack could play some defense. They move well. They're agile. You are not even in the conversation, Morgan. You're not even. She's an offensive player.
You know what? I'm not even mad about that because I am not a defender anymore. But when I look back on I made some like basketball scrapbook during quarantine because I had all of these things, newspaper clippings and like max prep stuff. My defense was phenomenal. I was a rebounding guard. I was stealing the basketball and I just had a nose for the ball. So I was a really good defender, but now,
Why did you have to put that poll question? This is what we just get. Morgan trying to, I was looking back at some clips and I got to be honest. Like,
back when I was 15, 16 years old.
I don't feel like Deuce has a lot of lateral quickness.
Man.
Yeah.
What kind of defender
Kenny?
Would you be a bruiser?
Kenny, I'll come over to Kenny's Palace at some point. Invite me over, and we'll see.
Deuce is like a Buddy Hield, where he's more of an effort guy. So it's like the basketball IQ of it defensively. Hey, and he can't shoot. Deuce can't shoot, but he's more of that guy where it's like he is full blown effort, and when he's full blown effort. He's a good defender. That's a compliment, man.
So no.
He did not take that as a compliment, by the way, for those who aren't watching.
Because it's not. Because what I hear is a guy that's full of fake hustle. Like, I'm going to run out hard and close out. And the guy just pumps fakes you and goes around.
Damn, Kenny. I honestly think when Buddy can put forth all of his effort, he becomes a good, not even good,
adequate.
Can be at like he can hang out there as a defender, and it's not like he's disrupting and making other things happen, but at least he can hold his own defensively when all of his effort is there, and that's like Deuce.
Very, very random. Buddy had a hell of a closeout last night. It really stuck out. You remember? Nobody probably remembers it but me. No. But Luke Kennard was in the corner, wide open. Buddy typically would just run out crazy. Yeah, he'd chopped his feet and everything. I was like, look at Buddy with the closeout. Forced the pass. It was a great job. But it was
love it.
As we mentioned, Deuce and Mo back with us here. When does I feel like we're going to lose you again. When does the Stockton Kings schedule start? That's just a couple of weeks away, isn't it?
November 14th is the first game, I think.
They all just turn to look like it's the WrestleMania sign.
Yeah.
Just
right up there.
There's the schedules all over there. Yeah, there's a lot of games coming up here.
Yeah.
14th. Oh, man.
Yeah,
Busy,
so November?
Yeah, November 14th it starts.
Okay. All right. So we got a little bit of time.
Figure out if there's a better set day, we'll get it all figured out.
Yeah. Let's dive in. Let's dive into the Kings season before we dive into the Stockton Kings season. Let's dive into the Sacramento Kings season. We started the conversation talking defense and the silly poll question we put up. Obviously, the focal point is on Davion. Let's start with the remark that De'Aaron Fox made last night about Davion Mitchell already being a top 5 on-ball defender in the league. What did you make of that when you heard De'Aaron say it last night?
Sometimes I think, guys will overhype things. I don't think it's overhype. I don't. I mean, you saw what he did, not only in college. It's not like some guy just like showed up out of nowhere and is doing it now in the preseason. That one play last night that a lot of people on social media were referencing at the end of the first quarter when he switched on to Paul George, 6'8" Paul George. Paul George, an all-star. Paul George, one of the better scorers in the league. And he made life challenging, so much so that afterward, Paul George went up to him and was like, hey, that was pretty nice. And to see that, and then to hear De'Aaron's comments. De'Aaron's going up against him in practice every day. He knows. And it's real. I mean, I'm not acting like Davion's a perfect player, but there's no doubt he is a legit defender for a team that hasn't had a legit defender in the better part of a decade.
Yeah, just because De'Aaron says it doesn't make it true, but what does make it true is what we are seeing with our own eyes, right? And De'Aaron just backing it up with his genuine comments was really cool to hear, because I feel like, and Deuce and I have talked about this so many times, I just feel like he's such a blunt, honest guy where he's just going to tell you how it is. And you don't see him that joyful when he's talking about his teammates that often. So not only was that nice to see, but he believes in him. And I think Kings fans should really start believing in Davion Mitchell and believe that he is defensively NBA ready right now.
And to your point, Morgan, De'Aaron Fox doesn't seem like the type to, just gas people for no reason.
Right.
Like, you're not going to just say things just to say it or, to overhype a situation. The things that he says and the praise that he heaps on players, and especially when he puts it as definitive as he did yesterday when he says top 5, that's not something that I don't feel like I've ever heard him say about himself or his teammates or nothing like that. So there was a level of authenticity with De'Aaron putting it out there like that.
It's fun to watch too. I mean, it really is. Just even that first game against Phoenix, there was a play where Halliburton had the ball, I think, like knocked off his leg or foot or whatever, and Cam Johnson's breakout transition, which should have been an easy layup.
Oh yeah.
And Davion gets back and knocks it away. Just little things, just doing the right things, and it's fun to see. I know a lot of people are worried about his size, and that could be a problem at times in terms of height, but like, he moves well. He's strong, and to see him D up different types of players has been pretty fun.
And Damian talked about this earlier, and it was a great point. De'Aaron Fox saying something like that. Number one, he goes up against Davion every day in practice, so he sees it. Number two, he goes up against, for the better part of the last 2 or 3 years, the best perimeter defender on every team. So he's seen it. He's seen, some of the top guys in the league on the defensive end. And after a few weeks of playing with them, to be like, yo, this guy's one of the top 5 guys I've had to go against. It sings praises, man. It rings loud.
And like, to me, I don't know what you guys think. This team was obviously awful defensively last year. There's no chance they finished last, right? Like, I know it's not just one guy, but I just think, just so far in the preseason, I know it's preseason, got to be careful going too crazy, but it looks a little better defensively too. And I feel like even with Tristan Thompson, I liked what I saw from him yesterday at the start of the game. Like, he's breaking up an alley-oop that led to a Harrison Barnes basket. He's protecting the rim, altering shots. He's a big body. Alex Len moves pretty well. You could see how he can impact things in limited minutes off the bench. This team just feels like they're going to be an improved team.
There was a second part to that conversation, that question and answer with De'Aaron and Jason Anderson that we didn't play earlier, where De'Aaron is throwing that praise at Davion, and Jason Anderson follows it up with, is that something that you guys can emulate and take on? And De'Aaron's like, no, hell no. We can't do that. That's a unique skill set to him. Now, defense being contagious or whatever, we can't do what he does. That is unique to Davion Mitchell, and I think that's saying something too.
Yeah, it's like the fundamentals to that. It can't be taught. And I think De'Aaron actually said those words. Like, it can't be taught. Like, you have to have it, right? Yeah. And so he truly understands, to your point too, Kenny, it's like going up against some of the best defensive guards in this league. He understands every inch of their body when he's looking at them and seeing if their hips are even turned a little bit one way so he can be explosive another way. And so he understands his timing of his crossover this way. So he sees all that as an almost elite point guard in this league. I really think he can make that leap even this year. And that's a whole nother conversation to be had. But he sees that as a really good point guard in this league. And he knows that Davion Mitchell also has that as a very good defensive player in this league.
And another thing about that is when you look at Davion, I mentioned it earlier today, it's not like he's sitting there and he's slapping the floor. He's got a dig hand. He's got a hand in the passing lane. It's not the traditional stance of how you're taught to play defense. He's just sitting there kind of stalking you. It's kind of bent, kind of hunched over, but he has instincts and a sixth sense to, I don't know, combine his knowledge of what an offensive player does and shoot it directly to his body so they can move at the same time. Like he just knows, like he's sitting there. He's not in a traditional defensive stance, but when you go, he goes immediately. And it's just, to De'Aaron's point, I wouldn't teach anybody to like get ready to play defense the way Davion does, but it works perfect. It works perfect for Davion Mitchell.
It falls into that what Morgan just pointed out. De'Aaron said you can't teach that. Like you don't want to teach that. That's how someone is so skilled at something. Yeah, we're not going to teach you the way that he does it because he's very unique in this regard. We're going to teach you the way we teach everybody else to do it. Maybe if you could develop these instincts along the way, like he has, that'll be fantastic. Obviously 2-0. It's 2 preseason games. That wasn't exactly the Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns we saw the other night. Probably not the potentially title contending Los Angeles Clippers that we saw last night, but the team is 2-0. What are your biggest takeaways here from the first 2 games? Obviously, besides what we saw on the defensive end with Davion.
I think for me last night, I was just so impressed with Fox. And it's not only the body. You look up pictures of him even last year, the year before, and now you look at his body. Damn, like he did get big. Like, sometimes you hear that during an off season, you roll your eyes. Like, I don't really see that 10 extra pounds. Like you see it on him and it doesn't seem like he's lost speed, right? Like last night he was putting on a show. I mean, step back threes, getting to the basket, setting up his teammates. He had a nice hesitation move on Paul George and then dished it to Tristan Thompson. I just love what I saw. And then I love the fact that he got to the free throw line and was 6 for 6. And that's like the area that we always talk about with De'Aaron. I think we talked about a lot last year is, okay, can he get that 3-point number, that percentage up? Can he get that to 35? It was 32 last year. Can he be a better free throw shooter than 71%? I sure hope so. And if he could do that, I mean, then look out. Then we're talking about the Kings probably taking a serious jump. But I think so far that's been like the biggest bright spot. I expect big things from him, but it's just been cool to see it on the court too.
And that's the obvious takeaway. So I won't even go off of that because I feel like we've probably all have talked about that for so long. But another, just trying to think of a different angle that can be a takeaway is, again, we haven't been talking about him too much because he hasn't been like a shining star, but Tyrese Halliburton, even in these last 2 games, you just look at his vision and the way that he's able to manage the floor when he has the ball in his hands. Things are moving. I mean, whether it's just pass here, wherever, it's like people flow with him. That 2-man game with Rashawn Holmes. And I think just having, yes, I'm going to say it, the girth with Alex Len and Tristan Thompson. I know. We need like a girth meter.
Wow.
With the size of Tristan Thompson and Alex Len and just their presence felt like in that key, whether it's on the defensive end, being there for help, and or the offensive end, a brick wall like Alex Len being able to be that screen assist guy and really get someone the space that they need. And even if it is Tyrese Halliburton with the ball, giving him the space that he needs so he can see the whole floor and do what he needs to do to make a play.
And I think the other thing too is we've seen so many variations through the first 2 games of the 3-guard lineup that, we've spent so much time talking about. And then you watch it and you go, okay, I could see why this works. And no, it's not going to work against every team. But then you start looking at some of the other teams, they're doing the same thing. Like teams are busting out 3-guard lineups a lot. They want guys who are able to handle the rock, play make, shoot the ball. And it's just nice to see that the Kings have multiple guys who can do that. And it also, I haven't seen much of Buddy Hield bringing up the ball, which is a huge
good thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing, right? Like, let Mitchell do it. Let Halliburton, let Fox, Terence Davis. I just like so far that 3-guard lineup. And look, they still have flaws on this team. The wing depth isn't great, but you could see why they want to work with a 3-guard lineup and try some different things.
I got something I want to ask you, but before I do, I want to remind everybody you're listening to ESPN 1320 KIFM West Sacramento, KRXQHD2 Sacramento, an Odyssey station, and driven by Lashers, Elk Grove Dodge. We got Deuce Mo in the building right here on D-Lo and KC. And
you've never done that before.
Well,
yeah,
that's your first time.
You thought I'd surprise you just a little bit, you know.
My man. Love it.
You know, roll with me here a little bit, because when you talk about De'Aaron Fox, last year, 25-7, second half of the season, 28-8 or something like that. I don't, some people may think I'm overrating this roster a little bit. I look at what they've been able to do just in the first 2 games. I know preseason is nothing, but I feel like they have an ability to, if De'Aaron isn't scoring 28, if De'Aaron isn't scoring 25, they can still win the ball game, because you got guys like Tyrese Halliburton, Davion Mitchell, Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley. There's other guys on the team that can carry that offensive load. And one of the things that I'm a little worried about is, and maybe it's not a big thing at all, but De'Aaron Fox, I've always felt like naturally he would rather have stat line of 18-9 as opposed to 33-5 assists, right? And just kind of, sometimes it can be passive. And if he can see a situation where, I don't have to score 25 tonight, he might not do it. And I want him to have that same aggression of, no, I need to get these up. And I just wonder, and let me know what you guys think. Yeah. Is that a concern, that if they are extremely balanced offensively as a team, that Fox kind of gets a little passive out there?
That's an interesting point. I don't think you're far off, because let's just go back to the first game. Again, we're prefacing all this preseason. Let's go back to the first game when he was scoreless all the way through, like 3 minutes left into the second quarter. And I remember thinking, like, damn, he's not, doing it. I want to see more from him. And then we saw that more in this second preseason game against the Clippers. And you're right, Kenny. It's so dominant and it's so enjoyable to watch, and it's there, and he can do it. Even though all these you named all those other guys, you didn't even go into the bench depth of like Terence Davis and even what he can add. And so, yeah, there's other guys that can score, but I don't know. I think with the confidence with his shot and really understanding his body and how he has this new build and this new body type this season, I think it's going to give him even more confidence to keep finishing at the rim. And we're seeing his 2 games in his free throw numbers last night. He had a good free throw game. I don't know. I just feel like he's the type of guy, because of track record and what we've seen each year, he takes these little leaps. Maybe this is going to be the year that he takes that leap of understanding, like, all right, everyone, jump on my back. I'm going to go and you follow.
Can he get some calls this year?
Man,
probably
not.
I mean, honestly,
about 4 or 5 times against Phoenix, I thought.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
Get some calls.
Now he's just too big. Like I don't know. He's just now all of a sudden he's officiated like he's Shaquille O'Neal or something.
Well, who's dishing out the punishment really on this play? Is it Fox or is it the defender? We just don't know.
He'll come up with some excuse for him to not get the whistle. Buddy's name came up in there somewhere, so let's get to Buddy. He has become like an extremely high volume shooter, and that volume is behind the arc. And Deuce, you were one of the first people I remember pointing this out last year, not just pointing it out to us. You mentioned it to Luke Walton, and Luke was like, yeah, no, that's what we want. He essentially said the same thing against Phoenix. No, we want him to take those shots. We want him to take those shots. he's taking a lot of 3-pointers. His role is a little bit different through the first 2 preseason games, but where's the buddy meter with Deuce and Mo right now with all of the shots that he's taking?
Well, I think we have more has a different take than me, but last preseason, Fox was jacking up a ton of threes, a lot, and he wasn't hitting them.
Air balls.
And he's not obviously anywhere near an elite 3-point shooter, or even a good 3-point shooter at this point in his career. 32% last year. I just don't. I guess in the preseason, I'm not worried as much. I will say this: when you go, last night was he 4 for 13 in 23 minutes? That's pretty crazy. It's 3 for 13 from 3 last night. He was 4 for 13 against Phoenix, but around the same. I mean, we're talking about 22 minutes. He's getting a lot of shots up. I felt like last night he got some pretty good looks. He had a couple of forces for sure. He had one force he missed with Kennard on him, but he had another one he buried. I don't know. I mean, if this is a regular season, he's putting up 13 threes in 22 minutes. I don't love it, but it's the preseason. They're trying some different things. He is a really good shooter. And if he's getting good looks, let it fly. It's the preseason.
And this is the difference between Deuce and I, because he's like, if he's getting good looks, let him fly. I didn't consider some of those decisions and some of those looks last night good looks. And then Deuce's rebuttal is those are good looks for Buddy Hield. Like Buddy Hield's used to taking those tough shots, which is absolutely true. But at the same time, you have teammates now that are willing screeners, willing playmakers. They're willing to do more for you. So utilize them to the fullest. And what I mean by that is don't just settle on, oh, I got a little screen and I barely came off of Harrison Barnes or whoever the teammate was. And I have a tiny little inch and I'm just going to shoot it because this is the most open I'm going to get. No, I don't think he should depend on that little inch of openness.
But that's all he needs sometimes.
Sometimes. And I think too, we've identified him because he is as a shooter in this league. That is what he is identified as. Now, we all know that Luke Walton said he's an elite shooter in this league, where if you looked at his percentage in your stats person, it would say, yes, that is, where he's at with his percentage is a good percentage in this league. But when you actually watch him, it's some of his decision-making, some of his choices in those shots, it's just not the right time all the time. And it's not consistent enough. But
there were a lot of those in the Phoenix game.
To end that, though, Damian, it's shoot or shoot. So I don't know where to go with this.
Yeah. And also, just because he misses, it doesn't mean it's a bad shot, right? The Phoenix game, he definitely had some forces for sure.
Yes.
But he's going to have some forces. And I think the problem, too, is it seems like last year we saw this a lot, too, right? Where you were hitting on Damian, just the balance where it's most of his shots are just from 3. He's not really doing anything else besides shooting threes. And you want him to get really good looks. So last night, I felt like the looks were better. But I also feel like we saw many times last year where he starts 0 for 6, 1 for 8. And then he hits a few at the end. It makes it look a little better than maybe it actually was on paper. Right. Yeah. So I don't know. It's the preseason. I'm not totally worried about it. They're trying things. They're trying different lineups, probably trying to get him different looks. So yeah, I don't know. Get your shots up now.
So one of the things that I've said about this is through 2 games or whatever, it's not that big of a deal, but it's also not much different from what was already going on last year, in my opinion, is he's not really hitting shots. You kind of give him looks. You see if he's hitting that night. If he's not, maybe you can pull him. You have the luxury to do that this year. Last year, he was your starting 2 guard. If he would start off 0 for 7, it was we need him to turn it around. This year, you don't necessarily need him to turn it around. You would want him to, obviously, but his job, he's the microwave. He's a hired gun. Come in there, see if you're hot. If not, okay, we'll go with Davion. We'll go with Tyrese now, or hell, we'll go with Terence Mitchell or Terence Davis. We'll go different directions.
Replaceable.
Yeah. So it's okay for him to take the shots because that's his job. That's his role on this team. If he's going to be on this team, is to make shots, take the shots at least. So I look at Buddy, man, and there's so many things that I'd rather him do out there that I think would be beneficial to him. Like if you start 0-for-4 from beyond the arc, next time you come off those screens, curl it and go to the cup.
Yeah, that's fair.
To the line or something like that. But he's after 2 years of playing the way he's not going to do it. Like,
Right.
He's not.
Yeah, and he's a gunner. He comes off and just shoot. I mean, Terence Davis does the same thing with that, right? I mean, he attacks a little more, but he comes in and gets shots up, which I don't necessarily. I'm fine with it. I mean, I think Davis took 11 shots in 14 minutes. And he wasn't playing around. He was making shots though, so it feels a little different, obviously.
Get him up, boy.
But you know what? He's gonna take it strong to the basket too, right? I mean, he'll try to dunk on somebody. You know, what was it in that first game? I think
tried to dunk on
JaVale. Yeah, he tried to kill JaVale McGee. I'm like, damn, Terrence.
He tried to do what John Collins did last night.
Yeah.
Oh man.
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
That was very Vince Carter in the Olympics ish.
It was nasty.
He flew.
Nasty.
That was ferocious. You mentioned Terence Davis. I want to ask you about him. It's in front of me, and I just have to, because I just have to read this. I have to point it out to everybody. It's from the not often heard from Kenny Thomas, who tweeted, "Good morning, fam. I'll be announcing some exciting news about my future in the next few weeks. Stay tuned." Emoji with the sunglasses, and there's a Sacramento Kings logo attached to it.
Well, could the Kings use another big?
I was going to ask, like, does he?
Kenny Thomas.
There's a strong possibility he still has time left on his contract.
Man, I felt like that contract when they traded for him in that Weber deal. I felt like that was like a 25-year contract.
That's why
Petrie was like selling it like, hey, man, we broke the contracts up for more flexibility. We got Corliss, we got Skinner, and we got Kenny Thomas. It's going to allow it to be more flexible. Meanwhile, Kenny Thomas is here for 15 years.
I'm not positive, but I think they had to delay Chris Webber's Hall of Fame induction until Kenny's contract expired. And
he's 44 years old, by the way. So I don't envision him actually coming back on the floor.
Yeah.
No.
Kenny Thomas, something related to the Kings.
Well, no, man. He's got
imagination's run wild.
I don't know.
He what?
I don't know why you tweet this out and be like, "Stay tuned for the next few weeks," bro. This is something that you do like tomorrow. Like, what do you mean the next few weeks?
Yeah. Like, all right, hold on. Let me throw my Kenny Thomas notifications on. I need that Kenny Thomas bomb.
Kenny Thomas, not a really big social media guy, and obviously is in charge of his own tweets with this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's not going to be playing. He's not going to be coaching. So who knows?
Well,
maybe there's something going on in Sacramento. K9.
I wonder.
Let me put the.
I'm gonna leave it.
Oh no,
I'm gonna leave it.
You know, you might have a lot to say over the next few weeks without saying what you're looking for.
You know what it is? I just put a bunch of different conversations in my head together. So let's talk about Terence Davis.
Okay.
What's Terence? Because you brought him up, and he went to the Buddy Hield School of Shooting last night, getting all those shots up in just 11, 12 minutes, whatever it was. But I mean, in all seriousness, Kenny's a big fan of Terence Davis. I think what is his role on this team though this season?
Man, I mean, again, you have all these guards. Like you already know Fox, Halliburton, Mitchell, Hield playing, right?
Right.
So how do you find time for Davis?
But maybe it's to exactly what Kenny was saying, how Buddy on those evenings where we've seen the consistency isn't there. Like we can't afford to leave you in there any longer and shoot. That's great, but we got to bench you right now. Boom, you put in the energy guy and Terence Davis. I don't know when or where that actually fits, but that's going to be needed and that's going to happen. It's a long season. We've seen these losing streaks with this Kings team. I'm not saying it's the same roster, so we're going to see these losing streaks again, but you're going to see those hard times again because this isn't a team built of a whole bunch of all-stars. So you're going to need that energy guy. And I believe that's where Terence Davis is going to come in.
I mean, I like him. I want him to play. I'm trying to find the minutes. And maybe it's a situation. I mean, look, the Kings nearly traded Buddy Hield to the Lakers. We know that. We know that deal was close. All the reports suggest that. So maybe Davis is a little Buddy Hield insurance if they do move him. I know they're different guys. Terrance is not the shooter he is, but Terrance provides something a little different. I like Terence Davis a lot. He's young. He comes in, and it's not just offensively. Yeah, he can come in, and he's streaky sometimes. He had a stretch last year where I felt like he didn't make a three for like 3.5 weeks.
He did.
But he kept it going, and he plays hard. He's scrappy defensively. He deflecting balls, like creates turnovers. I like him.
This is a little silly stuff that sticks in my head. And I'm once again maybe the only person that saw it yesterday. I think it was the second quarter. Did you see Terence Davis jumping over those screens that were being set?
Yes.
Set screens on him, and he was textbook stepping over. I'm not going to get screened or whatever. Little stuff like that. You know what I mean? That sticks out for me. That I like what he does, and that's something probably Davion would do as well. I call guys. You guys may remember the great San Francisco Giant legend, Angel Pagan. I'm calling Terence Davis El Caballo Loco, the crazy horse. He just goes out there, man.
Crazy horse
goes out there.
I know you're fired up for the Giants when you're dropping Pagan references today.
Oh hell yeah! What did Pagan? Oh, this Pagan salute.
Oh yeah.
God.
I'm going to game 1, Kenny.
What?
Yeah.
You
Word?
behind?
Yeah.
You gonna leave me behind? That's how we feel, Deuce.
You're not going?
Dude, he asked me if I wanted to go, and I said no because I just don't. You know what's funny? One,
You don't want to be around people.
Yeah, honestly, like that's one. I just have a little bit anxiety.
I got you. Yeah.
Even though King season is here, but 2, just always in the news with the Dodger fans and like picking fights. I'm like, I'll get my ass beat. I just knew it would be me, and like I don't have time for that. I don't have time for a black eye.
It's not going to be like that.
Oh, there she is. She's wearing a niner.
Like they're gunning for her. Like they're actually going.
Oh my god.
We hate your Posey jersey, Bob. That's what I'm waiting for.
This is I've been meaning to tell Damien about this, and this is I don't like that this happens, but it seems like the new Tuesday, Wednesday tradition. We go down and we have what we do on Mondays, we recap, overreaction, all this other stuff, power rankings on Tuesday. The new Tuesday, Wednesday tradition is the new viral video of the week of a fight at a football game.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
There's like 3 new ones every week.
It's just so stupid. Like, what are we doing?
And Kenny, like, I'm not acting like I'm going to be the one in the brawl, but I don't want to be, honestly, that energy, I don't want to be around it. It's so dangerous. I just don't like humans right now, like on planes and stuff. They're just so weird that everyone needs to get back into life a little bit more. And then I'm going to find and then I'll come back. You get all your fights out, you weirdos, and then I will jump back in there.
I still love the thought of there's U2's Morgan Reagan. Get her.
Who the hell is that? No, just beat her up. We don't care.
Just beat her up. Jesus.
I don't know how to get back to where we were. I just also realized the crazy horse means something very different in Las Vegas. As you said that, I was like, why is that sticking out in my head? And then I don't Google it. Just
that's too late.
Is it like Raiders or is it like Vegas?
No, it's Vegas.
Oh, okay.
Like it's Vegas.
We're gonna Google it right. Oh, okay.
You're on Instagram. Okay.
Oh, those are some
Deuce Mason follow.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is that a
lots of dollars?
Spot?
Lots of heels.
It's a Magic City spot without the wings.
Oh.
Okay. It says free ride and entry. What's the ride part? I
Well, okay.
I don't know what that means anyway.
like, wait a minute.
Now, what did I do wrong?
All right. Okay. Let's get back to setting screens.